Alright, so I'm going to go over how I got 32 heat completed my first time. And this pact actually got me it on the first try. And I think a huge part of beating this game is knowing the right packs and what works best. Now this is only what worked for me, but you're free to try it and let me know how it goes in the comments. Now, I'll keep this short. I'll go over every boon and why, or every pact and why I would and wouldn't pick them. Hard labor, I think, as it adds up, is just a little too difficult, especially since this will apply to bosses. So maybe 2 in it is fine, but I would not max this out. For lasting consequences, I think 2 for 2 heat, it's not a big deal not getting 50% of the heals, especially if you're good at the game. You will get darkness for every boss fight, so you're already getting double healed anyway. As long as you don't lose to traps and, normal monsters, you're gonna be fine. Convenience fee is something I use on every run. In my opinion, it's the freest 2 heat in the game. It will increase prices by almost double, so boons from the shop will be 270, a mystery's 225, as well as health, and a hammer and a death defiance would be 360, if you're lucky enough to find those. Jury summons, I won't go into this, I just don't recommend it. Tight deadline doesn't work. Not a good pairing. Extreme measures, I stop at 3. EM4 requires you to build a specific DPS build that isn't always feasible. So I stick with EM3, and then normal Hades is so easy to beat once you get there, as long as you have an extra life or 2. Added health, don't recommend because of tight deadline, but it could be okay. Benefits package, I haven't played around with too much, so it could be better than some of these other 2 heat ones. If you're familiar with it and you think it's the move, then go right ahead. Middle management, if you haven't tried it, is actually another one of the easiest 2 heat you're going to get, because it only changes the mini bosses, which you might see 2 or 3 times per run. And if you have a summon, you're going to be able to kill them in seconds anyway. The only ones to look out for are the teleporting witch and the Gorgon one in Asphodel. Those ones are a little annoying. Underworld customs, I know a lot of you probably stay away from this because it looks scary. Purging a boon always is. But you're going to be picking up garbage boons along the way anyway, so you're free to sell one regardless. And I've gone through a whole run selling nothing but bad boons, so it's not going to throw your run. You can always re-roll the well to get different options. Forced overtime, I'd stay so clear of. This is a tough one, especially maxing out. This isn't worth 6 heat because it makes the game twice as hard in my opinion. They're going to attack quicker, they're going to move quicker, and that applies to bosses. The Minotaur with forced overtime, oh my goodness. Good luck. Heightened security, I think you could remove. This does add a huge amount of difficulty to Styx and the Hades fight. The green pots will do 150 damage with this on, but I personally don't get hit by many traps, except those falling ones from the ceiling in Styx. I hate those, but typically this won't be a run ender, and for 1 heat, I just throw it on. But you could probably put something else in there. Routine inspection. Now, I know some of you maybe don't play with this either, but I feel that it's not too big of a game changer. You are going to lose your 100 extra coins, your 50 health, your extra dash, and all of the things that increase boon rarity and cast damage and stuff. But you still get baited persuasion, which is why this isn't a deal breaker. You just need to find keys to get rerolls, assuming that you have the item from the contractor, which you probably should if you're attempting 32 heat. So you still have faded persuasion, which is huge. Damage control, wouldn't recommend. I use a Sword of Arthur, so it's just not very good for it with the slow attacks. And now for approval process, which I know many of you are like, what the hell? This is 5 heat though. So yes, you will only see 1 boon on hammers, palms, boons, and you have to take it. You can re-roll if you want. I know this is crazy, but you can scout your seed when it generates. You can do a route, see what boons and items you'll be offered, and it will be the same every time as long as you click give up from the menu and don't die. If you die on the run, yeah, it will reset, but as long as you give up, you'll have the same options. So what I did is I looked for a run where I got Athena, a Divine Dash, and I also got an attack bonus of Doom from Ares. So once I had those two, I was like, nothing else really matters. I stopped routing at like Chamber 10, and I played from there, and I won my first try. But this can be tough. I get that. But really, it's worth the 5 heat. And then when you add it up with tight deadline, which is 6 heat, that's 11 heat right there. Basically a third of your requirement. And I know 5 minutes for some people might be really quick. Even 7 might be tough. But just work your way into it. This isn't a very hard pact setting for 5 minutes. In fact, I've beaten it with like 6 or 7 left on the clock at the end. I think I cleared in 13 minutes on 32 heat. So as long as you practice and just get better and pick your best weapon, you're probably going to be clearing TARDIS and however it's pronounced, in like 4 minutes. And Aspinall is even quicker. Personally, I use Arthur's sword, the Excalibur thing, but I think the railgun is probably the most optimal gun in the game. So I'd recommend finding out what you're best with, what you're fastest with, and then putting this up, because this is 11 heat, like I said, and that goes a long way when you use both of these. Anyway, I hope this helped. Let me know if you tried this and it worked. I'd love to hear some feedback, and peace.